Hello everyone, I'm John with JP Strategic Investments, and today we're going to go over why we haven't seen a positive reaction in Tesla stock after the release of FSD beta and when we could possibly see a reaction. So I'm sure by now all of you have watched about every video you can find on Tesla's new FSD beta. As a Tesla investor myself and someone who loves new technology, I've been watching and analyzing every video I can find. And while it's fun to watch these videos and be amazed at what the car can do, as investors we do have to make sure that we watch these videos without bias and be critical of how the system performs. Our goal, of course, as investors is to make money, and to do that we need to make accurate predictions, and to do that we cannot let our personal biases cloud our judgment. So when watching these videos, we do have to keep in mind that many of the people in this early access program are huge Tesla fans, and so they do have some biases themselves. Also, when watching shorter clips especially, we do have to keep in mind that we don't know how many takes it took for the car to successfully navigate the situation. So in my opinion, the longer clips with multiple scenarios give us a much better picture of what's actually happening with the car. With all of that in mind though, I think it's pretty plain to see that this is a huge step for Tesla's FSD. Obviously it's not full autonomy, but it's very close. The nice thing about a lot of these videos is we get to see extended drives through multiple scenarios rather than just small clips. This means that we get the full context of the scenario and we can do a much better analysis. Also, it seems that the general consensus among retail investors is that this is a huge step for Tesla. So many investors understandably are puzzled as to why the stock isn't reacting in a positive way. Well, let's take a look at a few reasons this could be the case and then go over when we think we could see a reaction and how big that reaction might be. So the first reason that Wall Street could be holding off on FSD is that they could have some of the same concerns that we raised above. They may not trust a lot of these videos and they may cast them aside as hype from Tesla fans who are just exaggerating the abilities of the car. Personally, I think that most of the people posting these videos are just trying to give accurate representations of how the car is handling different situations, but I can understand a fund manager having reservations. Another reason they could be holding off is they're waiting for a more quote-unquote authoritative source to review FSD beta before making any larger investments. In their opinion, GoPro videos uploaded on YouTube and Twitter might not make the cut. And trust me, I don't mean to hate on these Tesla owners uploading these videos. I love you guys and I couldn't do this without you. I'm just trying to think from a big bank's perspective. And I know it's hard to get a true feel for exactly how good the software is unless you take the car for a spin yourself. Wall Street could also be waiting for Tesla to roll the update out to the rest of the fleet. This could be the case for a few reasons. One reason is that it would give them a much larger sample size to analyze the data and evaluate the system. Anyone familiar with statistics will tell you that observing something in a small sample size, such as Tesla's early access program, and then assuming the results will be the same across a much larger group like the entire fleet can be very dangerous. There are a lot of variables to be considered here, and many times something observed in a small sample size does not exactly correlate to a larger sample size. The other reason they could be waiting for this rollout ties into what I mentioned earlier about having a reliable source analyze the system. I'm sure many of the large investment firms have executives or analysts who own Teslas, or they know people that do. Once the update is rolled out to the rest of the fleet, those investment firms will be able to get a first-hand feel for exactly how good the software is. On another note, we could just have analysts who are once again failing to accurately analyze Tesla and their technology. I think this is far less common than it was a few years ago, but there are many in the Wall Street community who, for whatever reason, have only ever looked at the negatives on Tesla and continue to be pessimistic about future demand and profitability. And if you don't think a company will have future demand or profits, then it doesn't matter how good the technology is. So while we may not agree with their analysis, we can understand why these institutions have not suddenly decided to pour money into Tesla. One more argument that some have made is that Wall Street already assumes that Tesla will be the first to solve full autonomy, and so any advancements like this are already priced into the stock. From a retail investor standpoint, I'm inclined to agree with this because most retail investors in Tesla do believe this, and that's why they're invested in Tesla for the long term. Although from an institutional perspective, I don't think this is the case. As I just mentioned above, Wall Street has a long history of being overly skeptical on Tesla. And while the stock has greatly appreciated in value over the past few years, it's still undervalued based on projected sales growth for just the next year alone. If you're interested in exactly what our reasoning is on this, you can check out the video in the info card above about Tesla's forward PE ratio. So as far as all the reasons I mentioned above, we believe that the main reason we're not seeing a huge surge in the stock price is probably the fact that Wall Street wants to wait until Tesla rolls this update out to the rest of the fleet. That way they can get a larger sample size and they can also have their own people do a full analysis of the update themselves before making any larger moves. This means that we probably won't get any major reaction in the stock until Tesla begins to push this update out to the rest of the fleet. Elon has said that they plan to start doing this before the end of the year, so we could see this as early as December. but as we all know, this deadline could be pushed out further. That being said though, at the latest, I think it's reasonable to assume that we'll get this update by the end of the first quarter. So that's our analysis of why we think the stock hasn't reacted and when we think it will. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a great day.